I'm going to be very honest right in the beginning of this video. There are a lot of awesome things about Waymo, but there's also a lot of negative things about Waymo. And in this video, I really want to talk about all the really negative aspects and the reasons why you should not order or take a Waymo. I do want to stress, and I want to make this point very, very important, that this video is a very devil's advocate perspective, right? Again, like I said, I do think Waymo is doing a lot of good things, and there are a lot of positive aspects about Waymo and taking Waymo and everything. But that being said, it is far from perfect. Number one, safety. This is a big one because, as you can imagine, once you get in that Waymo, you're at the mercy to the Waymo, the way it drives, how it drives, and a lot more. Now, being super transparent on this video, as I always am in all my videos, there have been reports to show that if you do take a Waymo, you have less traffic violations, less accidents, less injuries related to those accidents, and more. So in some ways, yeah, Waymo is actually, in some ways, safer than a human driver. On the other end, there have been a lot of cases of people basically hacking, if I'd word it like that, the Waymo algorithm and the way the Waymo drives. There was one case, and a girl recorded this, of her being in the Waymo. A guy went in front of the Waymo, stopped the Waymo. The Waymo, of course, did not go by because it's a Waymo. It's following the programming it has, and he did not let the Waymo go by until he got the girl's number. Of course, eventually he ran off, but any human driver would be able to navigate that situation a lot better. There are certain situations that Waymo just doesn't know how to handle. There are numerous YouTube videos, and you can find them, of people basically tricking the Waymo algorithm where it could put you in a very unfortunate situation that, let's say, if someone gets in front of your car, they're trying to rob you, they're trying to do whatever, the Waymo won't just go by them. The Waymo's just stuck. And there's different ways to kind of trick the Waymo to not move or do whatever, and this can put you in very unsafe situations. In addition, again, Waymo is far from perfect. There was one unfortunate case that happened a couple weeks ago at the time of this video where Waymo ran over a cat and killed it. The cat's name was Kit Kat, and Waymo's not really given a statement, at least not yet, but this is a very unfortunate situation. Although, yes, there are some definite positive aspects of Waymo regarding safety, there's a lot of negative aspects, and in a good amount of ways, I hate to say it, Waymo can be potentially unsafe. Number two, price. This is another big one for a lot of people. How much does it cost? I mean, let's be honest. When you're ordering a Uber or Lyft, for example, to go out, what do most people do? You pull up Uber, you pull up Lyft, whichever one's cheapest, you're taking that ride. And Obi, who's an independent app that kind of studies pricing and whatnot when it comes to ride shares, as in Ubers, Lyfts, Waymos, etc., did found through a huge meta-analysis that on average, right now, Waymo is actually more expensive on average than Uber and Lyft. In case you're curious, it goes Waymo, then Uber, and then Lyft. So when it comes to when it comes to your bank account, your wallet, and everything, especially right now in this economy with a lot of people struggling, keep in mind when you order Waymo, on average, it is going to be more expensive than an Uber and a Lyft. Number three, customization. This is actually a big one for me that a lot of people don't think about. When you take an Uber or Lyft or have a human driver, I can say, hey, do you mind pulling off to this 7-Eleven? I need to grab a Gatorade real quick. Or, hey, do you mind pulling off to this one corner, but right over here a little bit further because my friend's going to jump in the car? Or, I think actually this highway is not the best. I actually don't think take here in LA. You should take the 405. Do you mind taking the 10 instead? Actually, that's more efficient. Or do you mind taking the back roads? Don't take the highway, etc., etc. You can kind of customize the ride on the fly, just verbally talking to the driver. With a Waymo, you're at the mercy of the Waymo in the sense that you get in the car, it brings you the way it wants to take you, and that's it. And in addition, take say the pickup and drop off, for example. When it comes to pick you up, it gives you designated pickup locations. There's a lot of times where it can't pick you up right in front of your house. Or even the drop off. In case you didn't know, in most cases, it will actually not drop you off right in front of your destination. So you may have to walk a little bit. And let's say you're disabled or handicapped. Let's say it's raining out. Let's say you don't want to get super, super wet. Let's say for whatever reason, you don't want to have to make that walk. That is kind of unfortunate that you're like, oh, I have to get picked up across the street and then I get dropped off a block away from my destination. Like, what is this? Now, I will say, and I've done videos about this, they're listed below in the description in terms of my Waymo playlist, there is a feature in the app where you can minimize the walking time. You can turn that on. I think the ride might be a little more expensive, to be honest. It does depend situation to situation. But this is an unfortunate thing when it comes to Waymo, that once you get in it, there's really not that much customization. Now, yes, you can control the music. You can adjust the temperature in the Waymo. But you can also do that in an Uber or Lyft. You can say to the driver, hey, do you mind turning up the heat or putting on the AC? You can say to the driver, hey, do you mind, if I connect to your Bluetooth and play music? This is very easy in an Uber or Lyft. But with the Waymo, you are really at the mercy of the trip. Yes, you can add a destination. So let's say to the Waymo, hey, I want to stop at a gas station because I need to grab a Gatorade or a snack or whatever. Yeah, you can do that, but it's kind of annoying to have the car then pull over. You have to do it within the app. Again, with an Uber or Lyft, you could just verbally say it, and the driver do everything that you need, right? The driver do everything that you need. But with a Waymo, there's really not that much customization. That's usually, in most cases, literally you get in, the Waymo brings you the way it wants to go, and you have no control over that, and then it drops you off. And like I said, too, the area that it picks you up in, you have to be at the mercy of that Waymo. Yes, there's different pickup locations, but you can't say, hey, pick me up right here. Waymo won't do that. You have to go to the Waymo. And then Waymo drops you off, you're at the mercy of that too. Yes, you can customize the drop-off location, but you're kind of at the mercy. You're like, hey, well, I want to be dropped off here. And Waymo's like, no. You can only be dropped off either here, or here. Number 4, trip length. This is another one, kind of in addition to the customization, and that is this. Waymo is very limited. Very, very limited in a lot of ways. First off, like I said, you cannot really customize the route. So let's say in your area that the highway's definitely going to be faster at that time, or the back roads are going to be faster at that time. Nope, Waymo's going to take the route it wants to take. And a big thing with that is this. Waymo right now cannot go on highways. That may change, so I want to say that right now at the time of this video. I guarantee in maybe a year or two, maybe they will figure that out. But at the time of this video, Waymo does not go on highways. So there's been times I get into Waymo here in LA, and let's say the ride is typically, and I'm making this up, a half an hour long. I'm not making this up. There are some times that same exact ride that should be a half hour is actually 50 minutes, or even close to an hour sometimes. Double the time, because Waymo says, hey, we're not taking the highways, we're going to take the back roads. And so when it comes to the back roads, as you can imagine, they're going to take significantly longer. The second thing is Waymo drives incredibly safe. And I get it, right? I get it. Of course, safety is important. I mentioned that right in the beginning of this video. But the thing is, Waymo is almost sometimes too safe, where the way it drives, it's very, very calculated. It's pretty much what you'd expect. Let me word it like that. When it comes to a self-driving car, it's pretty much what you'd expect. And I think the tricky thing about that is that a typical driver who drive maybe like a little bit above the speed limit, the light just turned yellow, so they're going to go past it. Waymo drives so safe that just be prepared, your trip length will be significantly longer. I'm not joking. I've had rides, when it comes to taking a Waymo, be double the length of the typical ride as if I just took an Uber or Lyft. And remember too, even if let's say you're not trying to get on the highway, even if let's say the Waymo is driving safe, if I say to the Waymo, or I want to be able to say to the Waymo, hey, just take this road instead. It's not the highway, but this road's just faster. Waymo's not going to do anything. I have no customization with the ride or the trip. And I'm, like I said, at the mercy of whatever route Waymo thinks is going to be the best. And sometimes Waymo is correct. Sometimes it does take the most efficient route, if I say it like that. Other times it doesn't. So just be prepared. I'm going to say about 90% of the time, maybe 95% of the time, your trip is going to be longer, and in some cases, significantly longer than when it comes to a human driver. Number 5, recording. This is one that you might not know about, but this, depending on who you are, could be a potentially big issue, depending on who you are when it comes to privacy. Now, I will say this. When it comes to most Uber drivers and Lyft drivers, they do have dash cams. And I do suggest for any Uber driver and Lyft driver, definitely have a dash cam. I think it's very important just in case something happens inside your vehicle or outside your vehicle, right? But that recording, when it comes to a dash cam, is more like, hey, if someone, let's say, has a situation in my back seat and I need the footage to show Uber, or let's say someone hits me, that's the main reason why I have the footage. But when it comes to Waymo, in case you didn't know, your rides are being recorded. And this is the way it works. When you're in that Waymo, visually, there's cameras inside of the Waymo that can see everything that you're doing. And I mean everything that you are doing. So they can see you, but your microphone is muted. I don't know, at least to me, maybe it's because I used to be a computer programmer and everything. I don't trust that, right, to be honest, but the microphone's muted. However, if, like, say there's something going on inside the car, there's some kind of infraction, for some reason they need to reach out to you, they can unmute the mic and talk to you. And this happened to me before. Like, say I'm with friends, someone forgets to buckle their seatbelt in the back. It's happened before where they can see on the camera, wait, that guy with the white t-shirt on or the Lumen shirt from Severance, that guy in the back seat, he doesn't have his seatbelt on. The microphone will come on and say, hey, just so you know, this is Tom from Waymo Support. I see the person in the back seat with the black shirt on. He doesn't have a seatbelt on. We're going to pull the car over unless he puts it on. And then you're like, oh, okay, sorry. So puts it on, and then you're good to go. Then they mute the microphone again. So keep in mind, you are always being monitored. When you're in a Waymo, you are always being monitored. And at least to me, it's like, if let's say Joe Schmo, the Uber driver, has his dash cam on just for more insurance purposes. Again, if he gets into an accident, whatever, that to me is whatever. But to have a company have the footage of me in their vehicle, everything I'm doing is being recorded and being caught not only on camera visually, but also when it comes to audio. And again, I do know that Waymo says they mute the microphone. So like if you're having a private conversation, they can't hear you. I'm going to be honest, I don't trust that. Just my personal instinct, I just don't trust that. Yeah, I know that they unmute it if they need to contact you, but most of the time it's muted. I just don't trust that because keep in mind, like I said, the Waymo does kind of have its own security protocols when it comes to, like, say, you doing anything, I'm going to say illegal or basically not allowed. Because let's say you, and this happened before, there's been a lot of cases of this. This is nothing too mind-blowing. Let's say, and a lot of people try to do this, you have one person in the front seat, so shotgun, 3 seats in the back. Let's say you try to squeeze 4, and the Waymo starts driving. You will be pulled over. And there's been cases of some guy coming on saying, hey, this is Jake from Waymo Support. Sorry, we're pulling the car over. We noticed there's 4 people in the back. That is not allowed. We are pulling the car over and ending the ride. We're pulling over, and you guys all have to get out and order another ride, order another whatever, right? So keep that in mind that they are monitoring you at all times. And now, a bonus reason of why you should never take a Waymo is people. This is actually a pretty big one. I'm going to say for 2 main reasons. And I do want to say, this video is meant to be a very devil's advocate, of course. Devil's advocate, negative reason, negative perspective of why you should never take a Waymo. But of course, there's a lot of positives about Waymo. And regarding people, there's 2 main things I'm going to say. And that is socialness and just working. Now, when it comes to being social or the social aspect, there are some positives when it comes to Waymo. Like say you just want to be alone. Like say you want to make a phone call. Like say you are just not feeling well, and you're like, you know what, I don't feel like doing the formality of like, hey, how are you? Good, how about you? Good, and you go right to your phone. You just get in the Waymo, have your ride. So I think there are some positive aspects to having the car to yourself, and I know a lot of people do take a Waymo just because they want to be alone. But I'll be honest, especially because like I said, let's say I have to do a bit of more of a customizable ride. Let's say I know I want to stop at the store, then pick up my friend, then I want to go here. Let's say I want to have a more customizable ride. Let's say I want to be able to get there faster. Let's say I want to be able to, tell them a different route. Let's say, in addition to, I just want to get there and have a conversation. Uber and Lyft is way better, significantly better than a Waymo. I mean, let's be honest, especially because, like I said, almost always your Waymo ride is going to be longer. There are some times, especially when I'm traveling, where I'm like, hey, I kind of want to have a conversation. I'm in an Uber alone, and I don't just want to be on a phone or be on my phone in a Waymo and just sit there and just wait for 30 minutes, 45 minutes because the ride's taking so long. I kind of want to have some human interaction. So I said the first thing in terms of the negative aspects of regarding people with the Waymo is, yeah, you don't really have any social interaction. It's kind of lonely if I'd work like that. Now, of course, if you're with friends, different. If you want to be alone, that's of course different. If, let's say, you want to call your friend, different. So of course this is something you can kind of pick and choose. But I will say sometimes it is nice being in an Uber or being in a Lyft and having human interaction, having a conversation. The second thing, and this is more of like just I don't know if I want to use the word moral. I don't know if that's the right word. But as someone who used to drive for Uber and Lyft, there is something said about people and whatnot that we all know right now. One of the hottest topics, hottest debates, hottest things to talk about, so to speak, is AI versus humans, or robots taking over people's jobs. This has affected literally every industry you can possibly think of, from the graphic design industry, to music, to entertainment, to writing, the list goes on. And I will say that there is something to be said that it is kind of nice to kind of be like, you know what, I'm going to take an Uber because I want to support our fellow people, our fellow humans, so to speak. Because let's be honest, as Waymo continues to get bigger and bigger, and right now I would guess that there's probably about between 1 and 2 million Waymo rides happening every month. It is getting that big and it's continuing to get bigger. That's tons of rides being taken away from human drivers. That's tons of rides, and I might as well even say work and money being taken away from people. And Waymo is continuing to get bigger and bigger and bigger. And again, I think there are a lot of good things about Waymo. And I want to make that very, very clear on this video. I think there's a lot of good things, a lot of positive aspects. But one really harsh negative aspect that might not affect you directly, but affects literally millions of other people, is Waymo is now heavily taking over a lot of drivers' jobs.